Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video. In a recent interview by Sandy Munro with Lars Moravy, the Tesla's head of vehicle engineering, we got a lot of really great information, and I would highly recommend you take a look at the main video. The link is here on the screen and in the video description. But based on that, we got some great news and information that pertains to Giga Texas, specifically about these four areas. The first is the casting machine area, the second is the die shop facility, and now we know what that is for. These two areas I already covered in part 1 and part 2 of this series. The stamping and also Cybertruck painting system areas on the southeast side of the main factory, and also about the crash testing. In today's video, part 3 of the series, we'll be talking about stamping 1 and 2 and the second floor of body in white where the TKS Modular paint system has been installed that supports Cybertruck construction. Now, Lars did mention that the Cybertruck's stamped passenger cabin uses two different presses, Schuler and AP&T. Interestingly enough, he didn't mention the AIDA presses that are also here, and we'll be discussing those later in the video. But as far as the stamped steel cabin that Lars mentioned, this is it, and this was at the display during the Cybertruck delivery event. You can see the arrow pointing to this carbon steel stamped section, and this forms the middle part of the Cybertruck and where the two castings, front and rear, are attached to. Now in this image in the green, I just wanted to show you where the second floor of the body in white is located. This is where I have seen the TKS modular paint system, which includes the dip tank conveyor system and also e-coating and the powder coating that is needed to apply the black paint that Lars talks about in this video clip.
And it's simply coated with a black powder just for aesthetics, basically. So we're looking at a clean surface here, but it's high strength boron steel, single piece inner and single piece inner and outer, and then we just spot weld it together. And we do that down here at the south end of Giga Texas because we had to, much like our castings, we had to make the press.
Yeah. Well, stamping press of this, whose did you buy? Schuler's or?
So we have two different brands. We have Schuler and AP&T. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if I was going to do it, that's who I'd pick.
The first stamping press mentioned is Schuler. This is headquartered in Germany. They make very large stamping presses, which are the sizes of multiple houses. And ironically, this is one of the very first pieces of equipment installed here at Giga Texas. About 3 years ago is when that began. AP&T is another type of press here at Giga Texas that Lars mentioned. These are small from 200 ton all the way up to 25,000 tons, and they have a wide range of different kinds of machines. In the photo here, you get a good sense of one of these and what they may look like, and I'll show you some images of installed items here at Giga Texas shortly. Now, interestingly enough, Lars did not mention the AIDA presses. There's two of them, and they're very large, up to 3,500 tons in capacity. Again, these are the size of multiple houses, and we have one in stamping 1 and recently one in stamping 2 that has been installed. So additional capacity not mentioned in the interview with Sandy Munro. Now looking at these images from the 14th of August, it gives you an idea of what the installation here at Giga Texas looks like. You see the Schuler presses, you see the APT smaller press on the left. Also here you see the same APT and Schuler presses, but also an AIDA press, and there's a similar one over in stamping 2 as well. Now for the TKS paint system, here's an image that I took on the east side before they were moved into the second floor of the body in white. Later on, parts of this have been moved over to the west side material staging yard as well, and most of the equipment now has been installed. Around the same time earlier this summer, I took this image. This is one of many dip tank conveyor system parts that were delivered and installed. This short video clip from TKS gives you an idea of what it would look like if it's an operation. And again, this is part of the system that the passenger shell here shown in black would be dipped in to make sure it's prepared for e-coating and also for that powder coating to give it that black appearance. And finally, for reference, this is the platform in the second floor of body in white on the east side of Giga Texas, where I observed these TKS paint systems and modular components being lifted up and moved inside for installation. I also saw a number of permits filed that supported the installation of this modular paint system. So there you have it, some additional information from the Sandy Munro interview with Lars. We learned about the carbon steel passenger cabin of the Cybertruck, the stamping presses that are used to manufacture that, plus some additional interior panels, and of course the TKS modular paint system with the dip tank conveyor system that ensures that the metal is properly cleaned, e-coated, and then has that powder coating to give that characteristic black look that we see when the doors are open. I hope that you found all of this review and information helpful and puts into context more about what we see on the site and as we look towards the future here at Giga Texas. So now let's get into the drone, let's fly around and see what Giga Texas looks like. If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. Well, this morning we're starting on the west side near the west main entrance. Not a lot of Cybertrucks here today. They're all out being used as security around the site. We can also see that there is some additional work that's being done on the stone glass trapezoid here. You can see one of the panels has been removed and it looks like they're doing some work to repair that. The end of line is not that busy right now, but we are very early in the morning. And on the east side, we're going to see a lot of Model Y. So production is definitely ramping up for them. This truck here was bringing in some of the crated items for production, and they come from off-site at some of the third-party vendors that provide parts for the Model Ys. On the north end of the General Assembly Line 1, we can see more work to demolish this ramp. They've removed the ramp itself. Now they're removing the retaining walls. Interestingly enough, this was one of the very first concrete structures put in on the west side about 2.5 years ago, and now it's being removed. So more changes, and that would be normal for here at Giga Texas. As we continue to fly towards the north, we're going to round the northwest corner of the battery cell production portion of Giga Texas, and we're going to see a lot of work that is going on just on the inside where they removed some of the windows and some of the concrete panels. At the bottom of the screen, we see a truck delivering drywall. It's a great sign because this indicates that the finishing interior walls are now being installed, which is a very positive sign. The open section that you can see in the middle of the screen that has had those wall panels removed, now another one of the receiving doors has got a temporary yellow panel on it, so you can see where that door is. And then just inside, you can tell that the mezzanine that has been added doesn't have the concrete yet, but it looks like it's preparation for that, and it looks like more work on the ground floor as well. In this bin in the middle of the screen, we see more concrete has been broken up, some of the rebar as well. So additional rework going on inside, in addition to finishing up some of the construction to expand the 4680 production cell portion of the factory. Now, this was very interesting. On this north side of the paint shop near this loading platform, we see looks like a Cybertruck body without the exterior panels underneath a cover. And I'm not sure why that would be here on the north end. It's been a while since I've seen some of the Cybertruck incomplete bodies on this part of the factory, but there is one today. On the center of the screen coming in, we can tell that more work on that walkway continues on this side of the road, and then the other part as it looks like it's nearly completed. The knockout crews are completing the stain work here on the northeast corner, and just as we round the corner, there's just a very small section remaining that needs that white stain. In fact, they are applying it right now. This may be the first coat. Usually there's 2 coats. And you can see the tarps on the ground and some of the plastic on the windows. But this is very close to having that stain on the entire main building completed, at least for now. Maneuvering the drone around, this gives you a good view of this ventilation system that is continuing to be installed on the roof of the casting machine structure. There's about maybe a third of the enclosures completed, and we see more needed on to the right where you see the ducted fans. And in addition to all of this work, we can see that there continues to be some sort of expansion of maybe ventilation shafts here. There's a couple that have tarps on the left-hand side of the screen, and the rest have their, I think their finished tops on them, but it's hard to tell for sure. As we creep over the wall and look down, you can see that some of that red concrete's been put on the new conduit. You see those spools that have the wires. And also, this is a good view of all of the castings that are on this side. And this is a mix of both Model Y and the Cybertruck castings. Most of the Model Ys are in the racks and the Cybertrucks are on the ground. We also see that manifold on the ground there for the internal furnace, and that work is coming soon to a close. So that furnace is either operational or very close to being operational. As we cross over Tesla Road, we can see where many of the transport trucks are temporarily parked, waiting for the start of the day to pick up Model Ys and Cybertrucks for transport off the site. This area here is showing that it's being cleaned up. It looks like to me this is the last bit of the contractors, those trailers on the right, and the materials that have been used to build the Megapack site. So the fact that all this is being cleaned up is a great sign. It does look like two electrical components were delivered on the bottom of the ground, so we'll have to see where those end up going. But otherwise, the final work and inspections of the Megapack looks like it's underway. This north end, all of the equipment, it looks like all the connections are done, all the gravel's done, all the fencing is in, all the gates are closed. The only thing that I see that shows that it's still not operational is that the kind of the circuit breakers or the breaker bars on the left, you can see 3 of them still open, and that indicates that this is still not energized, but I'm expecting that to be very soon. So here's a good overall view of the site looking back towards Giga Texas, and just get a good sense of how it looks today. So I'm going to continue up over the power lines to the north end of the electrical switchyard site. I want to show you that the final work on the electrical poles here is completed as well. Just some materials that need to be cleaned up near one of the center poles, but otherwise this all looks completed as well. And of course this is where the wires connect to the grid under the ground over to the north end of the Megapack site. So the rest of the switchyard looks operational and in pretty good condition right now. All the gates are closed, and making sure that unauthorized people aren't in there. And we also see on the south end more of the work near and in some of the vaults. One of the covers is open near where those spools of wire are. But otherwise, this looks like it may be wrapping up as well, which would be great. So finish up the electrical system for Giga Texas. We can still see some of the steel corrugated pipe stored here, but a lot less of it. Of course, the temporary offices, security, and the new higher welcome centers are in the bottom left that we just flew over. The intersection here for Tesla Road and Robot Lane is operational, and we're still waiting to see the expansion of Tesla Road off to the east here. More materials and pipes being stored. This large pile of dirt that has been placed here hasn't been really moved much, but I'm going to wait and see where that ends up going. And then I'm going to take this opportunity with the door open to get in now kind of low, look inside, and try to glean some of the activity that is going on inside here. This is the die shop. On the left are 2 of the very heavily reinforced ground slabs that are just behind the walls. And then in this section here, somewhere off to the right, I'll try to zoom in, it's kind of hard to tell, but there's been more of the ground slab broken up, and it looks like more equipment has been delivered for installation in this part of the facility. So I wish the door was a little bit more open, we could see more inside, but you know, that's the way it is today. We also saw on the bottom right as we just passed over generators, so they're still using generators to power portions of this facility. The entire west side continues to be cleaned up, And there's earthwork underway next to the newly paved section. So it looks like they're going to expand that, reclaim the dirt, put in geotextile membranes, and then probably expand the paving soon. The lift station looks like it's getting some additional work this morning. There's several workers there. There's an excavator off to the left, kind of moving some of the dirt around. And looks like maybe some electrical conduit on the north end is being placed as well. But this is a good view of that lift station and its current status. Also, the west side with the paved section, of course, the concrete on the left-hand side of the paving, and that's part of the drainage system. So as we get closer in towards the chiller plant, just give a good idea of the activity here as they continue to build that side out. But on the ground, we can see what looks to be some more trenching. The conduit that connects the chiller plant to the die shop looks nearly completed. A big section of form work and rebar to continue to expand the concrete apron. Looks like concrete's been placed in the white pipe sticking up for the drainage. And again, more of the concrete has been poured in that middle section. And then here it looks like a very large crate has been delivered. I'm not sure exactly what that is right now, but most likely additional equipment for the die shop. So neat to see that more equipment and more finishing out of that building on the inside continues. The east side of the battery cathode plant, again, looks like it's being cleared out, less containers, less trailers, less equipment, less materials. And as we continue to fly up to the northeast, you can see a similar trend up here. There still are equipment and materials being stored here, but it looks like it's thinning out to me as well. Some of the earthwork on the north end continues. On the east side, we can see some materials have been delivered onto the dirt. The outfall channel for the pond is on the left-hand side near where that white truck was. And then here it looks like workers are doing additional preparation work and getting the filtration system in the bottom of the pond completed. Plus, it looks like they're continuing to pump out some more of the water. And the infall channels have got all of the concrete poured as well. So work on that pond definitely continues. So I'm going to give a tour here on the far east side. We'll just fly around, get a good sense of the activity on this side. And there's the recycling yard here at the bottom of the screen. You can see some of the Model Y bodies have been piled up here, actually several of them for recycling and some other equipment as well. And of course, they're breaking up a lot of the crates that bring in equipment, and once empty, they break it down for recycling. As we fly up over towards the warehouse on wheels, we can get a good sense of this clearing location. It looks like the top coating has been applied, so now we'll see if there's any paving that will be done here soon, as what I have heard. This amount of equipment, the white and the red that you see here, looks like they're more platforms for additional production capability, waiting for its turn to be installed. And then, of course, this recycling yard is very busy, and we see another section of earthwork being done between the recycle yard and the trees. And it looks like that's just going to continue to kind of square off this entire section on the east side. As we cross up over the trees, we'll come down and we'll see that where the road is going to be constructed, near where those two trucks are, they're doing some excavation work with that pipe that is part of the water management system. And we see more of the concrete on the left being delivered for that multi-level parking garage. Again, more of this intersection looks like it's being prepared for maybe asphalt soon. And the outbound lot is extremely busy. We see Model Ys. There's actually a Cybertruck on the bottom of the screen we just passed over. And then as we get closer to where the trucks are picking up a lot of the Model Ys, we see that there's an additional 10 Cybertrucks arranged here. So I'll try to give you a good view and get a good idea of how these look. Now, some of these have mud on them, and I don't think it's because they're being driven around just for fun or testing. I think it's just because there's so much mud here at Giga Texas, particularly in the south end where the Cybertrucks come out of the factory from the end of line. But all of these look like they're ready or waiting for being picked up by the trucks to take them off site and hopefully take them around the country. And we're going to see a lot more of these Cybertruck on the west side as well. As we get towards the testing and calibration lot, you can tell that it's full of Model Y, so production is definitely ramped up for the Model Ys, another Cybertruck supercharging, and many more of the Model Ys supercharging as well. As I pan towards the helicopter pad, we can see it looks like 4 plus 1 more Cybertruck here. This one's near the Rainmaker, and I don't know if they just ran it through the system or if they're doing additional checks here, but you get a good sense of how this looks today with yet another Cybertruck. So being able to see Cybertrucks is no longer an issue. They are all over the site now. So let's fly over the concrete parts for the parking garage waiting for installation. We'll see the work here. There's more of the concrete parts, more of that steel mesh, and then here in the middle, the work on the footing construction, some of the forms, rebar, and some of the concrete has definitely progressed here. And then as I keep it zoomed in, we get a good sense of the expansion of the parking garage itself. And it continues to grow to the east and the north. We see another wall panel with those small windows getting ready to be lifted up on the ground. Some more of those double T panels that have been delivered by the trailers. And it looks like that extension now coming towards the drone on the left-hand side has got all of the, I guess you'd call it the second level, not the ground level, double Ts installed. And they'll be getting ready to start installing the next level soon. And as I continue to maneuver, we can see that wall panel with the windows being picked up and maneuvered for installation. So also some of the concrete work on the ground. And another wall panel has been put in place here on this side in that new section where you see the workers. And of course, the stairwell has been completed all the way up to the roof level. And they put some of that steel mesh on the roof as well in preparation for lining that and then putting more concrete to finish off that installation. It's a good view of the east side of the stamping machine structure, and we talked about some of that in the intro today. We also see this new ground slab in this kind of triangular section by the southeast corner. And again, the speculation, since it's reinforced with a lot of the piers underneath it, that this may be for some of the smaller stamping machines that we've seen on the far west side. This is a good overall view of the south end, the steel structure, how it's continuing to develop, more of the steel on the bottom right waiting for installation. And we also see that the crews are installing the roof decking now on that original section of the steel structure, and I'll give you a closer view of that shortly as I continue to maneuver the drone. We also see at the bottom of the screen, in the center of the screen, it looks like a temporary road is being placed with asphalt right now. That's a Lone Star asphalt team. I think what this is the new exit temporarily for the Cybertrucks coming out of the end of line on this side of the building. And that allows the work to continue further to the west. And we'll talk about that here more in a second when I maneuver the drone that way. But you can see the roof decking being applied. The concrete has been poured on that initial second floor area. We see more of the steel continuing to develop towards the west. They've added 4 more column sections. And of course, the footing construction is definitely progressing to the point where they're getting close to being able to continue the steel all the way over to the west side. And then here is where they're doing more of the footing excavation, also where the Cybertrucks used to be, but because they can't put the Cybertrucks here with all the construction, we see that door has been shut. And again, I think that new asphalt road is where the Cybertrucks are going to exit temporarily while construction continues. Now, somebody has pointed out to me that the column bases in concrete here are raised on this section, but the ones closest to the building are not. So I'm not sure exactly what that indicates. But if you know, let me know in the comment section. A lot of people will comment that it's not what other people say it is, but they don't say what it actually is. So I'd like to know if you do know. Here's a good close-in view of the workers putting the roof decking on, plus the look at the concrete that has been recently poured, and just generally how this section of the building is continuing to progress. on the perimeter grade beam here on the south end continues. Here's a good view of the yellow formwork that is in place, getting ready for the concrete to be poured. Also, take a look at the workers just to get a good sense of scale. And as we get closer to the building, as I had mentioned before, you can see the concrete column bases have been put in here with forms to raise them up, but some of the ones closest to the building are not raised up. So we'll have to watch and see how that develops. Now here's a new development on this side of the factory. We can see that the temporary holding place for the Cybertrucks is now in this particular location. They have barriers here to segregate it away from the roads. And as I continue to maneuver the drone around to give you a good sense of all of these, I think that there are 21 of them in this particular line. Also, as I was changing the zoom of the image here, another Cybertruck drove right underneath the drone. So they are continuing. Actually, there's another one driving there. So they continually be driving the Cybertrucks near here. They come out of the factory and then they are temporarily stored on this section as well. And this is a good view of all of these. And to me, it looks like Moravy stickers are sitting on the dashboard of pretty much all of these. I've had people ask if I can read those stickers or see what it says, not from the altitude, and I wouldn't want to get that close to be able to do that. Here's another big delivery on this accordion truck, and I got the timing just right, so we'll follow it on up to the third floor temporary platform. We'll get a chance to see it getting prepared to be moved inside. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it looks to me like it's more production equipment that continues to arrive here and then is installed into this portion of the factory. And again, a good view of the Cybertrucks, and then a look across the highway. And we'll cross the highway and we'll resume the discussion on that side. We cross over the West Warehouse on Wheels, which looks to be several times larger than the East Warehouse on Wheels. We see this large graded section. Looks like more earthwork is being done here. And of course, the road and then the material staging yard. I'll also zoom in to show you the work on the new clearing. Again, it looks like they're preparing it for more parking. And the other section where you see the dump trucks bringing some of the dirt is also being prepared for probably a similar treatment. While I'm here, I'll give you a good view of some of the material staging here. Looks like a covered awning for maybe some of the workers. We see all of those. I believe it's 48 superchargers getting ready for installation on the right. Some more of the windows that came off the south end. And here it looks like more deliveries are being made of equipment that could very well be part of a smaller stamping press, maybe for that concrete section we saw on the southeast corner of the factory. And then here is what looks to be more deliveries in these white crates of TKS Modular paint system. You can see their TKS trailer, and it even gives some idea of what that modular paint system looks like with those images. Also wanted to show you just the amount of materials that are stockpiled here, more superchargers in the upper right, a lot more production equipment, platforms, and other items for production. And of course, all these containers have other equipment and some materials as well. On this far west side, near where the houses are, we can see the blue water pipe continues to be installed into that trench work. Also, we see this road that's waiting for paving, some of the concrete medians. And then here we see the road continuing up to the north. And I did notice that there were utility workers on the utility poles in that section that needed to be moved for that road to continue. So that work may be underway as well. Here's a good view of the outbound lot. The trenching is being filled back in. All of that is the conduit for the lighting system. And then I think they'll start working in the section closer to the end-of-line building. The end-of-line building itself is getting more fit out on the north end. It looks like maybe those are going to be large doors. And then the conduit work, the concrete vaults, the red concrete on the conduit, all of this here looks like it's taking shape pretty quickly. And of course, that connects over to the main building for the electrical system. This is a closer in view of the north end where it looks like these may be large roll-up doors when they are completed. but we'll have to keep monitoring to see how that develops. On the west side, more trenching, more pipe work, and also it looks like they are finishing up more of the ventilation ducting, and the 3 enclosed or contained HVAC units have now been placed onto those 3 concrete platforms, as we were discussing as likely on the previous video. And so these are in the process of being connected, and then that will provide heating and ventilation for the building. As we continue to get closer to the south end, this is a good view of the work that's underway for this large covered supercharger installation site, plus all the conduit and the concrete vault work. In the ground, you can see those square excavations with some of those metal pipes and the caps on top. That's where the poles for the covered superchargers will be installed. And of course, we see more of the work on the trenching on the east side of the building, plus continuing down towards the south along this side. And you can see where those concrete vaults are, and then where more of the conduit's going to continue on this side. Those are those boring tunnel segments waiting for whatever they're going to be done with here pretty soon. And of course, you can see more excavation work for more of those concrete vaults and the electrical conduit continuing far to the south on this part of the west side. And of course, the road that you can see in dirt right now, and that will be, at least for a while, where the new cars will drive from the main factory over towards the outbound and the end-of-line facility. So that brings to pretty much a close the tour around the site today. I hope you enjoyed what we were able to see and talk about. And again, thank you very much for watching and for your support. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and take care.